he has a neck cancer, and that so his urine backed up instead of coming out, and so in backing up, nitrogen, which makes like for the confusion and all. Well, it was very much what you're saying. So, they're on the course of recovery.
Ready to turn the page.
Sing better. They're going to be there for a couple of days, but okay. Before we break up, hand them to him before he closes down the hearing.
We're ready to go on T 505, page 229.
Oh my God! Meanwhile, Erin's flying in from That's a-
Lines 32 through
has to be in the
34.
time. Can't let a crazy party happen without it.
Does anyone want to make a motion? This is sponsored by the Baltimore Parking Association. Anyone want to make a motion on this, or?
Yes.
Councilman Kraft moves. I second. Councilman Reisinger votes yes. Councilman Kraft?
Yes.
Councilman Kraft votes yes.
Oh.
Councilman Branch is absent. Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark, yes. Councilman Henry is absent. Councilwoman Middleton? Yes. Councilwoman Middleton, yes. Councilman Mosby? Councilman Mosby is absent, so we have 4 yes with 3 absent. And 505 moves, motion moves. We are now on City Council Bill T 785, which is page 230. This is planning. You want to give me a line number on this?
Yes, this would be page 230, and it would be insert after line 23, the definition in the table. Or, I'm sorry, the standards in the table. So, recyclable materials recovery is different than materials recovery, and the commission voted to add this clarification on the standards, and it's all right there in your table. That's the exact wording.
Do I have a motion? A question on a motion?
You say add 14333?
It would be, yeah, and then,
Would it-
well, it would be 334 and renumber. Or, no, wait, you're right,
No,
333.
it's not the right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Sorry, my alphabetizing was
Well,
off.
above that is 14333.
Right. So in other words, add it between places of worship and residential care would be recycling materials.
Oh, on line 4.
I think, I'm sorry, I had the wrong
I
line.
thought you said line 20.
My alphabetizing was off. It would be line after line 4.
So it's not 23. Line 4?
It would be after line 4.
Oh,
Recyclable comes before residential.
so
Okay.
That's
So you'd insert recycled materials, right? And then it would be A, compliance with state and local laws 1 and 2, and then B, operations to be enclosed 1 and 2.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, and then all the following sections would need to be renumbered. Okay.
Accordingly,
All right.
yes.
Okay.
wait a minute, wait a minute.
Got it.
Wait a minute.
785.
But we're on page 230, we're under line 4, and we're adding recyclable materials facility.
I'll move that 785. We good on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I move
Councilor-
785.
Councilman Kraft, yes. Councilman Rice?
So you got a
Yeah,
second?
Councilman Kraft moves, Councilman Reisinger seconds. Reisinger votes yes. Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft is yes. Branch is absent. Clark?
I'm not ready to vote on this because I don't know what the definition is, and as opposed to resource recovery facilities, and I'm concerned that we may end up being more, I'm sorry, I'm just really seeing this, my fault, I didn't review this amendment, but I don't know the implications as opposed to further down, where we have resource recovery facilities. What's the difference? I'm just, what's a recyclable in this? So I'm going to abstain at this point because I don't know what the implications are going down in terms of where things are located.
The locations, of course, would be in the tables, and the
this is
definitions this
already in the
committee's
tables?
voted on. Pardon me?
So this is already in the
These
tables?
are already uses that you've voted on their definition.
Okay.
Where they're located are in the use tables. This is adding standards for which they would be held responsible for.
My error.
Title 14 is all standards.
Okay. So Councilwoman Clark, do you?
I'll still abstain until I read this.
We don't have to. Councilman Henry?
Sorry, this is 785? Yeah.
Henry, yes. Councilwoman Middleton? Yes. Councilwoman Middleton, yes. We have 4 yes with 1. You say abstain, Councilwoman?
Yes, sir.
You abstain, right? We have 4 yes, 1 abstain. T785 passes. We're now on T792. That's planning, page 230. Laura, you want to tell me what line that is?
This is lines 26 to 30, and it just replaces what's there.
State and local,
Right.
okay.
Rather than refer to the specific name
This
of the
is-
permit, we say
This is
state and
essentially
local.
what we did in the other
Exactly.
sections where we just
And as
spelled
a
it out
matter
more
of form,
clearly.
rather than saying what kind of permit you need, it just says you must meet the state requirements because those could change, and so it's better to, state it that way in case the state changes their
Okay.
requirements.
I'll move.
Moved by Councilman Kraft, second by Councilman Reisinger. Reisinger votes yes. Councilman Kraft?
Yes.
Councilman Kraft, yes. Councilman Branch is absent. Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark, yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Henry's yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton, yes. Mosby is absent. We have 5 yes with 2 absent.
We need language.
792 is moved.
This is an explanation of what the language will be.
We're now on
Yes.
T506. This is page 233, line 30. This is Adam Baker, BG, and BG&E has amendments. I just wanted to read this out. The representatives submitted a packet of proposed amendments to the committee on September 24th. A copy has been placed on committee members' desk. Have you received a copy yet?
I have. I wanted to ask you something before we took this amendment up, because in that we are passing page 231, and I just wanted to put on the record that I actually was expecting to have language for an amendment to the taverns section on page 231 that I don't have yet, and so I just want to call the committee's attention to the fact that we may need to go back and take this issue up.
You can do that when we do the next hearing.
Next hearing?
Yeah, that's fine. I wanted to say something when we got to that
Okay,
point.
all right.
Okay, thank you.
Noted.
May I just say one thing? I know
Use the
I'm being,
microphone, Councilwoman.
I know I'm being problematic here, but I just voted for something that in 792, it begins with directions that said remove references. I got that. So am I to understand that the amendment we adopted is the entire, like, that's on the sheet is exactly the verbiage that is going into as an approved amendment? So
It's sort of a replace,
it will replace,
replaces lines 26 to 30.
thank you. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to be asking questions like that when I have questions because of the transmission problem from amendments to final copy.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so we're on T 506, right? Page 233, line 30. Does anyone
BGE's amendments?
want to move this, or?
Replaces it, doesn't it, this package thing?
Yeah. 506.
Yeah.
506.
Councilwoman Middleton, you want to,
Yeah, T506, I'm sorry. It's on page 65 of the T sheets. We're substituting, you're gonna substitute for this. You're using this as your launching pad. Oh, maybe. T842.
it's, it's T 506, page, that's where we're at now.
Let's see.
Well, right
We
now,
could
we're on
use
T
either one.
506, page 233, line 30. 14338, utilities.
Yes, there's a number of amendments in your spreadsheet that are referred to by BG&E. You're correct, 842 is another one. My understanding is this package covers all of them, but I think,
Oh, yeah.
We're just going
my gosh, look at-
one on, just going one by one.
Yes, you were given, the committee was given a packet of revisions and some rewrites that I think BG&E has been working on with the law departments since August 6th. And they made numerous changes at the request of the law department and the planning department. I know that they've met with the chair, they've met with me, they've, I guess, talked to members of the committee, and I want to make a motion to approve.
Okay, so Councilwoman Middleton moves it. I just want to get clarification with the law department. You're okay with this, right? Yes. Okay. All right, Councilwoman Middleton moves. Councilman Reisinger seconds. Reisinger votes yes. Councilman Kraft?
Pass for a minute. Come
Okay.
back to me.
I'll come back to you. Councilman Branch is absent. Councilwoman Clark? Councilwoman Clark is yes. Councilman Henry?
This,
You what?
here.
I'm sorry, I'm still reading all the way to the bottom.
Are these out there on the amendment sheet?
You want me to come back to you, Councilman Henry, or are you ready?
No, I just wanted to make sure that the one thing I remembered was actually here. Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Councilwoman Middleton?
Yes.
Councilwoman Middleton is yes. Council Mosby is absent. Now we go back to the Vice Chair, Councilman Kraft. Councilman Kraft is yes. So we have 6 yes with two absent. So 5, huh? What you say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 yes with 2 absent, and 506 moves. Okay, then he's ready for this.
793 is what we do it on, right? Do we do it on 507 or do we do it on 793? I think we do it on 793.
Yeah, because that, no,
That's what it says,
that's
right?
plan.
Yeah, but we do it under that one.
501 is, I think, basically.
The substations.
Where it says, State Law
It
Department.
replaces all the BG&Es, go away.
Sheet 793. Yeah, so we'll make the motion here. Okay, Victor, is 507 pulled? Is that withdrawn?
We can't do the page number.
Okay.
Oh.
507 is withdrawn.
Mr. Chairman, I move the withdrawal, 507.
Okay, do we have a second? Second by Councilman Henry.
And next
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. 507 is withdrawn. We're now on T793.
Mr. Chairman, I got, Mr. Chairman, I have, I would move the, Law Department's amendments, which we have received as a packet. Everybody has them in front of them.
Oh, the
There's
red
the red line. I would move them collectively at this time.
Okay, that's what, T793?
Mr.
9-3.
And what's the other one, so we get the numbers? Is that 793 we want?
793. right.
Okay.
Mr.
And what about
Chair?
the 507 and the 5 and 10? Is that
Well, we're gonna withdraw all that. I mean, he's gonna give us a list. But let's vote on this. and then we
Okay,
can withdraw
all right.
that.
Okay, so Councilman Kraft moves. Do I have a second?
Second, where this is a substitution?
Yes.
Yes, okay, second.
Question,
Are we adding federal in front of the name of the act that's being referenced?
you gotta use the microphone, Vic.
No, he's talking to Vic.
Yes, right on A, it says pursuant to section 409A of the Middle Class Tax Relief Act
Yes.
and the Job Creation Act of 2012. It's in your packet, it should be there, so that it's there.
Is it? Oh.
You have it in front of you, Councilman?
I had it before lunch. There we go. My question, oh, there. Okay, okay, all right, yeah, I'll take that. I'm gonna work from the assumption that nobody's gonna confuse something called the Middle Class Tax Relief and Job Creation Act of 2012 with state or local legislation. So,
I
Thank
would
you.
hope so.
okay, all right. Thank you, my question has been answered, thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Who seconds this?
Mary Pat.
I did.
I'm sorry,
Councilwoman
Councilwoman Clark.
Clark, second. Reisinger votes yes. Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. We are joined by Councilman Branch. Branch?
Yes.
Yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark, yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry, yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent, so we have 6 yes and 1 absent. 793 moves.
Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can we get the list of amendment withdrawals from the Law Department at this point?
Yes. Victor?
Yes, these are all T numbers, 507, 593, 509, 510, 512, 513,
514.
514, 515, 516, and 517.
57.
So, okay, that's it. Thank you. I move to withdraw.
Councilman Kraft moves, second by Councilwoman Clark. Councilman Reisinger, he votes yes. Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Branch? Branch, yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent, so we have 6 yes with 1 absent. With the withdrawals, okay, so,
Oh,
Now you're next.
I'm, next week, 508, well, I defer.
huh?
5, oh,
Yeah,
511. Well,
we're on 511.
You withdrew five.
Yeah, 511.
yeah,
Oh,
did.
you deferred to.
At this time, we are on, Councilwoman Clark, this is yours, T 511. This is on page 237. Yes, 237, line 22.
Here it is.
Wow.
Temporary use standards permits, 14-401. Where's the thing at? She got that sheet.
Yeah. T 511. This is, under, well, you've already said, it's under temporary use standards. And, my amendments, I've added amendments after, line 22 on page 237. Let me go find it myself. In which I say, in which I set up a way for a neighborhood association to have some warning and and influence for major temporary uses, like specifically carnivals and circuses, seasonal or holiday sales lots, and new farmers markets. The closest neighborhood association to the proposed use must be notified of the application and afforded 10 days to submit written objections to the zoning administrator to granting the permit. In the case of neighborhood association objections, the zoning administrator shall either resolve the objections, deny the permit, or refer a permit appeal to the zoning board for a public hearing. I would like to move that amendment.
Okay, Councilwoman
Clark.
Clark, I just have to say that I can't, just for the record, I'll vote on it, but I can't support this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Henry. Councilman Reisinger votes no. Councilman Kraft?
No.
Councilman Kraft, no. Councilman Branch? No. Councilman Branch, no. Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark, yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Councilman Henry, yes. Councilwoman Middleton? No. She say no?
It must be a Jack.
Councilwoman Middleton, no. Mosby is absent. We have 2 yes with 4 no's. Motion fails, 511.
Carnivals and circuses.
Let's see, these are all what?
Well, it depends on where they want to locate. If they want to locate those.
The other one's withdrawal. So now we're on T 794, which is planning, page 237. Laura, you want to give us a line on this?
Yes, that is line 30. It's in the far right on your table, and that is to substitute zoning administrator for the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. The context here is at the Planning Commission hearings, they mentioned the possibility of temporary uses that may not be listed here, that maybe aren't invented today. One in particular was food trucks, which has certainly become popular. And so that if those things were to occur, that they would require the approval, that the zoning administrator could approve those as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Question on
Where are we?
Councilman Kraft?
So what you're saying is, if all of a sudden some new use
Like
sprung up,
pop-ups, for example, are now a new use since this
a
was
wine or beer tasting.
Right.
That was your example.
Right.
So your wine or beer tasting could be allowed in any zoning district, and you want to change it from requiring the specific approval
790.
Well,
of the
we're un-
BMZA to the approval of the zoning administrator.
Under the general, this whole section is the general arm of temporary use standards.
Right.
So
No, I understand.
under temporary use standards, we have some very specific temporary uses listed, and the Planning Commission brought up uses that are relatively new and popular now, and recognized that.
I understand
Yeah.
that. What my question was, depending on the nature of the use in the zoning district, the difference between taking it before the zoning administrator and taking it before the BMZA in terms of process.
Yes.
You
And their
know,
recommendation
some
was
of
the zoning administrator.
And some of them, I think the zoning administrator works very easily, but depending on others, you may want to have a more formal type of hearing. I mean, I know in some of the residential areas, if you were going to have a wine tasting or a beer tasting or something like that, you might want to have a more formal hearing before the BMZA than having it just before the zoning administrator.
Well, if it's alcohol, it also goes to the liquor board for a
Right,
temporary
yeah,
permit.
but liquor board is not as
Yeah.
community friendly as it used to be.
I would hope that the committee would maybe consider the amendment excluding alcohol, if you would like. I mean, I think that the Planning Commission really wanted to make it relatively easy for these pop-up markets, you know, performance art, those sorts of things, block parties that may not be specifically listed. I think if there's a concern about one type of use, maybe exclude that, but let's not throw everything out.
Both are maybe after beer.
Yeah.
So the wine and beer tasting, you're saying,
The councilman has some concerns.
So
It's
if you
not our
say
concern.
temporary use is not specifically listed in this subtitle, excluding those requiring liquor license or something like that, require the specific approval of the zoning administrator.
Something along those lines that would be fine.
so on T794, you need more.
Yeah,
Do I have a motion?
What are we doing?
T794, Councilwoman.
The commission recommendation is on line 30 to delete BMCA and substitute zoning administrator.
Wait a minute, 237 line what?
Page 237, line 29, right?
9:30.
Line 30? Yeah, line 30.
And what's the amendment?
To take out BMZA and put the zoning administrator in. Replace BMZA with the zoning administrator. And I was suggesting that this not apply to any event that included alcohol.
Right.
Any temporary use that included alcohol.
Like, but it's okay for, like, what they say here, pop-up art shows
Can we
and stuff?
just see, language in writing when we?
I just gave,
Delete BMCA and, yeah.
What's your language?
You would explain it to her again.
temporary use is not specifically listed in this subtitle, excluding those
Involving the sale of alcohol.
involving the sale of alcohol,
See what I mean?
require the specific approval of the zoning administrator.
I don't care, it's fine with me. It's,
Okay?
somebody writing it down?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's the-
okay.
yeah, we have that, it's there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So could you read it, could the staff please read it back and?
Temporary uses not specifically listed in this subtitle, excluding those involving the sale of alcohol, require the specific approval of the zoning administrator. So we are
Just so it's-
inserting, excluding those involving the sale of alcohol. We are deleting Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals and replacing it with zoning administrator.
So, do I have a motion?
So
Yeah,
moved.
Councilman Henry?
Just to clarify, my interpretation of that would mean that if there is a temporary use that is not specifically listed in the subtitle that involved the sale of alcohol, it would not be permitted at all. They would not be able to do it.
They had to go to liquor board, right?
Well, but I mean, there are uses already laid out here that involve the use of alcohol. But something that isn't already laid out could not be approved by the zoning administrator if it involves alcohol. Is that the councilman's intent?
No, what I'm saying is that
If
something.
it involves alcohol, you want to go to the BMZA.
Yeah,
Yeah, then we got to change it a little bit. Can we
Come back
defer this
with
for language?
I have no problem. Defer it for language.
Okay, you making a motion?
I'll move to defer it for language.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Kraft, second by Councilman Henry to defer 794. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. 794 is deferred for language.
Are you gonna write it? Is he gonna write it?
Are you gonna write it? No, you gotta write it. I don't know what you mean.
He just said.
I'll be happy to work. I'll be happy to work with you on it.
Ways to
Go ahead.
read it.
So Councilman Henry, it's your responsibility for that?
Sure. Working
Okay,
from the
all right.
assumption that means if I don't do it, it won't get done. I'm happy to take that responsibility.
Okay.
So may I ask what the intention is? Is the intention to?
Councilwoman Clark, you're the next one. T
Okay.
518, page 241.
Wait a minute.
T 518, page 241, line 11. Which is T409 right here.
519? Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I lost my own place. 519?
18.
T 519?
18.
T
18?
518, page
Wait a minute.
241, line 11.
Give me 1 second because I can't find it. Let me look in the book. Just give me a second, please.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That should have been listed on my withdrawal.
Oh, really?
Well, because,
Can I speak to it?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't listed.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, I'll move it.
if I could take a moment, I had taken this amendment to be addressing a problem that I've experienced where people have held what they called estate sales, but were in fact just inside flea markets in an empty house, where they would bring in things that weren't from that home to try to sell them to people, claim it was an estate sale, and go on from weekend to weekend. And so I thought that this amendment was a good idea because it always takes at least one day to get someone to come out there and shut it down in a situation like this. So if they were only going to be there for one day, that would be fine. But I think it would be a good idea to make sure that if they're going to be there for more than one day, they should get a permit. So I second the motion.
Okay, I'm back with it because that's why I wrote it, and I don't know why I withdrew it, and it didn't show up on my withdrawal sheet, so.
That's okay.
No, but what I did do is, what I'm submitting is, 518, no temporary use permit is required for two-day only. I have
You might
2-day.
want to look at,
For two-day only sales.
okay.
You can like do
Do
a
one weekend.
So
But
you're
that's
making
it.
your amendment to 2 days
I
instead of
did,
1 day?
I did.
Do you have a motion on that?
I do have a motion.
You may want to look at the language on lines 12 to 15 there, because it's already written as limited to 3 days.
Oh, okay, I see. Line
No more
13
than 3 consecutive
and line
days.
14.
I think that's why I withdrew it. I wrote myself a note redundant.
So we're looking at
You
just
live with
1 day
three?
because the other, it's already added. Councilwoman Clark?
So if I could have a moment, just if I understand this right, these sales are limited to no more than 3 consecutive days, and no more than 3 sales can be conducted from the same residence in any 12-month period. If not amended, this would allow somebody to come in and do, and essentially disrupt a neighborhood 3 weekends in a row without needing a permit of any type, and that just seems excessive. So I would be happy to say, if you would like to instead amend the no more than one sale may be conducted from the same residence in any 12-month period, that would be then that would be fine. 1 3-day sale, and then that's it. They don't get to come back anymore. If the planning department thinks that would be a more effective way to deal with the situation than limiting or requiring a use permit for more than a 1-day sale.
Councilman Kraft?
So what if someone had a spring event and a fall event, something like that? Or, I mean, I understand the thing of 3 weekends in a row, but maybe if we said something like,
No more than once in a 12-month period, in a 6-month period.
yeah, or, there must be, an interval. You could still have that no more than 3 shows are permitted at the same location any 12-month period. Each show must be an interval of at least 2 months or something like that between those things, or something like that.
In that case, could we limit it to 1 day at a time? Because at the point where you're doing 3 days in a row,
That's a weekend.
I know, but bear me out. At the point where you're doing 3 days in a row and you're doing it every 2 months, that's a business. That's not something that a person who's doing a yard sale is doing. That's a business if it's recurring that regularly.
It could be a community association. It could be a church that could be doing this.
Then it wouldn't be done in somebody's house in the middle of the neighborhood. It would be done at a more public location, like a church or a lot.
Yeah, like,
Yard sale,
Or you close the street and you do a
garage,
sale.
yard sales.
dare I suggest?
They might fit in those things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually, what I was going to say is, I guess maybe this is different in different parts of the city. No one in my part of the city has a yard sale that goes on for 3 days in a row in terms of a community association. Those are 1-day things.
Sometimes two.
Maybe
Mine.
maybe 2.
But
You gotta use
basically that's
microphone,
different.
Councilwoman, microphone.
But that's different. It's, all right. I think we need to take this whole area, permit not required, and rewrite it, because this is a good conversation, and we're thinking of different instances. Like if you say no more than 3 sales may be, let me see, where is that?
So what do you want to defer it so we can,
I would like to refer the whole 14-409 for somebody to, will you do it? Bill Henry, to rewrite, having heard all of our concerns, so that the exceptions make sense and aren't contradicting each other.
all right, so it's moved, 518 is moved to defer
For language.
for language, Clark, and then Henry
Yeah.
second. All those in favor to defer T 518, say aye.
Yeah, well,
Those
let me
opposed,
correct.
say nay. The ayes have it. 518
Okay, well,
is
it's more
deferred for
than,
language.
all right. It's more than 518, it's all of 14-409.
All 14-409?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right. That's the motion. Now we are on T 519. Are we-
Right.
And that's made moot by this. That's made moot by this one,
By what?
what you just did.
What, wait a minute, you're
Okay,
referring?
yes,
wait a minute.
right, yeah.
It's in what you just did.
Oh, that, wait a minute,
That's page 244.
519 is
Oh, I'm
a
sorry, I'm looking at
permit
the
for
wrong one.
PODs.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong
Yeah,
one.
this is
Yeah,
page.
it's a whole different
Yeah,
world.
let me finish. T 519 is page 244, line 4 through 5. Permit not required.
Yeah, it's way up here. All right, here's,
This is the pods. Yeah, where we at?
all right, so
Where's this?
my amendment says
This T519, where's it at?
delete
Right here.
page 244, lines 4 and 5. And they say, permit not required, no temporary use permit is required. Now, I just had a conversation with Ms. Kunst of the President's office. She tells, here's why I want a permit to be required. Because when you have a permit, you have a deadline. The person who rents this, these are these boxes you put in a parking space to store things when you're theoretically moving. Sometimes people store them, I think they live in them. In any event, sometimes they stay in the right-of-way forever and ever. And because they are permitted, they can be enforced against to get rid of them, okay? Now, what Ms. Kunz says, Housing Department, is that this is redundant of me to want a use permit because they get a right-of-way permit already. I didn't read that this way. I read it, no permit required. So if they are getting a right-of-way permit with a deadline on it, then I'm taken care of, but in this code, it doesn't indicate that. It just says
It's confusing.
it's confusing, so I would at least want a permit required because otherwise, there's no way to get them gone.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Clark, right? Second by,
Yes.
second by Councilman Kraft. Vice Singer votes yes. Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft, yes. Branch? Branch, yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark? Yes. Henry? Henry, yes. Middleton? Middleton, yes. Mosby is absent. We have 6 yes with 1 absent. 519's moved. We're now
I know, I
on,
don't-
huh? T7, planning,
I know, don't worry.
T789,
I know, I
page 2.
can't. It'd be the first
This
thing
must
I
be-
do. Got out of order.
This is out, T789, you got, hold on for a second, wait, T789, Laura, you got page 224. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess this got out of order. It's an area that we skipped, and,
Where are we?
again, I think it's numbered incorrectly as well. It should be 328. Not sure how this got numbered.
Page 328,
No. Page 227, item 14-328, and it was to add outdoor table service or outdoor dining to the list of 7 uses there.
okay, what line is that, I'm sorry, I was,
It would be, get my alphabetizing right, after line 19.
after line 19,
Yes, on page 227.
Where are we? 220, what number?
It's
7, 8, 9.
T789, and it evidently got in this table out of order because it goes backwards to,
Oh, is it in these sheets? What?
you gotta look for, look in your book for page 227.
I know, but I'm looking for the amendment too.
It's,
All right.
it's here, T789.
Oh, it's right down
Yeah,
there.
Mr. Chair?
Councilman Henry?
Here, this is a question that I had intended to ask planning in an earlier part of the conversation. If you could remind me, what is the rationale behind having outdoor dining be a separate use as opposed to something that comes with a restaurant?
The rationale for having outdoor dining as a separate use is to then have a uniform set of standards for that use so that it's not something that gets, and this is where we got into the conversation about sidewalk widths and other things. If you have a separate use for outdoor dining, then you have a uniform set of standards around that outdoor dining, as opposed to right now, it's each one is conditional, and then that requires, each one ends up with a different set of standards. It makes it very difficult for the zoning inspectors to enforce this, because if they go down a street in Fells Point, they all have different table numbers and sidewalk numbers and
Right.
that sort of thing. So
you
the
have outdoor
concept,
Wait, sorry. So just to be clear, I'm trying to distinguish between, on the one hand, I think of conditional as opposed to permitted, and I think of a separate use as opposed to an accessory use. And so, are you saying that we can't create uniform standards for outside dining inside the concept that outside dining is always an accessory use to something else? Can it still have consistent
still have
standards?
the standards if it's accessory. The problem with it being conditional in all zones, this is a proposal for neighborhood commercial, which is already conditional.
Right.
But in a, let's say, a Main Street zone, if the outdoor dining was conditional, you can end up with a different set of standards for every restaurant, and it makes it very difficult for the inspectors to enforce. And as Councilman Kraft said previously, outdoor dining is something we want in our commercial areas, and therefore we wanted to make it easier to do. But that's not relating to this amendment. So
This amendment is to create, well, I thought this amendment was to add outdoor table service to the list of uses under neighborhood commercial.
outdoor dining to the list of uses under neighborhood commercial. So this is different than a commercial district. This is in the neighborhood commercial, which is by definition a residential area that might have a corner cafe.
Okay, so here's what I'm trying to get at. Is there any situation that you can envision under neighborhood commercial where you would have outside dining, but you wouldn't have a restaurant right there that it was accessory to?
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to envision.
Yeah,
There, I don't know.
sure. I mean, if a retail goods establishment, let me ask you this, is a 7-Eleven a retail goods establishment?
That's a,
Yes.
Okay, so if you had a retail goods establishment as a 7-Eleven, and then you said that a non-residential use allowed was outdoor dining, then somebody could set up tables outside the 7-Eleven, and when people bought their, or let's say Royal Farm, and they bought their food, they could come outside and sit outside the 7-Eleven and eat their food. I'm not sure that's quite what we're going
then
for.
why shouldn't
I
Royal
think in our
Farms and-
standards,
I would say
call
Royal
itself a
Farm has
restaurant?
that great chicken, that's all.
in our standards for outdoor dining, I think you've got that covered, Councilman, because it is, you made it part of a restaurant.
Or the restaurant.
In other words, on page 228, the standards for outdoor dining are already amended to say part of a restaurant.
Okay.
I think the committee voted on that already.
So if you have a residential neighborhood, and it's a corner sub shop, and they want to put, this is regards to if they want to put tables out there, this is what
I'm
they're saying.
Right.
Okay. Thank you,
we
Mr.
just
Chair.
leave it
I
like
am
it
done
is?
trying to understand.
Why can't we just leave it like it is?
I didn't understand the question.
There's no motion.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
No, that wasn't a request.
No motion. 789 fails with no motion. It's good discussion, but no motion.
789.
That's 789.
Everybody happy? You know, my 6 is scared. So,
We're now on
you know, my 6 is scared.
Councilwoman Middleton. We're now on T 842, page 233.
I think that was covered under the, oh.
Is that covered?
Already do that? You just
Okay, so we don't need a motion on that? Huh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
that
Again, these are revisions at the request of the Law Department and Planning Department, in which I would like to make a motion to move.
Second. I think they were covered under the,
Under the other one, yeah.
I need clarity on this. So,
Well, no, because this one talks about the
You
sun.
guys already adopted the package.
The other one did.
It's in the other packet.
okay, so we need a motion to withdraw.
Adam?
Councilwoman,
Because the one we already did had both of these factors, yeah.
okay.
Withdraw this.
Withdraw.
Okay. So
Okay,
T
moved by
eight
Councilwoman
forty-two.
Middleton, second by Councilman Henry to withdraw, right? Victor? All those in favor of withdrawal, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, 842 is withdrawn. Now we are on Planning Commission.
that's covered under 794 discussed earlier, and Councilman Henry said he was going, that was one of the ones he was going to clarify the, or I'm sorry, Councilman Kraft and Henry, the issue of the zoning administrator and the temporary sales. Same thing.
Okay?
Right, okay.
So that's,
Are we on
we're
788?
good with that, right?
Move to defer as part of that.
So,
We withdrew that?
yeah,
Move to,
Well, they have to-
defer for, because that's gonna be incorporated in the other language.
okay. So do I have a motion to defer 788 for language?
Defer.
Moved by Councilman Kraft. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor to defer for language on 788, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. 788 is deferred. Can you see my hand right here? Okay.
Bless you.
All right, now we are on table 15.
The jury has began deliberation, you saw it.
This committee adopted
Just catching up with my email.
a list of withdrawals, and some of the withdrawals were really I put everything on the list that we don't have to stop at. And I would like to substitute and ask this committee to approve. The list now has the same numbers on it, but it is
Excuse me.
not budget.
Thank you.
It is getting into withdrawals and deferrals for tables.
Okay. So,
I substitute this list, same numbers, but they're clarified because the deferrals are not withdrawn. And
All
I
right.
would like to make that motion.
okay, so you're making the motion, let me read them off, okay? So, everyone have a copy of this? Yeah, give Councilman.
I don't think. I think.
I'm gonna start drinking, okay. Okay, everyone in the committee got a copy of the, okay. We're good. On Title 15, we are deferring to tables 525, 526, 536, 537, and 538. So do I have a motion to move, to defer those? Okay, Councilwoman Clark, moved, who's second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Kraft. All those in favor to defer, those five to table, say aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Those five amendments are deferred to tables. You got that? So now, Let me get myself together here. Okay, we are now on Title 15. The first one is Councilwoman Clark. It's T 914, page 2. Let me finish page 245. Okay, this is Joan Floyd. Are you making a motion on this? Are you moving this? Well, it's 240. Wait, let me finish. Page 245, lines 4 and 5. On title 515-011, 101.
I'd like to move the proposed amendment by the RNA, and the change is, this. It now says the purpose of this title, which is site development, is to address the regulation of site improvements on a lot other than the regulations applicable to the principal building. The amendment says, the regulation of site improvements on a lot, including the regulations applicable to the
Second.
principal building. Move the amendment.
Okay, so Councilwoman Clark moves, second by Councilman Kraft on 914. Reisinger votes yes. Kraft?
Yes.
Kraft is yes. Branch? Yes. Branch is yes. Clark? Clark?
Yes.
Yes. Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton?
Yes.
Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. We have 6 yes with 1 absent. 914 moves. We're now on T 915, page 245. This is DOT.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we had, the agencies submitted language to this committee on the 23rd of November, 11/23, and the language for this is included in that. The initial request was from DOT to exempt right-of-ways from zoning, and after much study and research, we have refined that and made a substitution so that it's not a blanket exemption, and that was given to the committee in November 23rd. It is on under Title VI. It would be an amendment to 6401.
Okay, so this is the overhead and underground utility lines?
Yes, it's
Table.
page 1. It goes in on page 116, line 19. In other words, this was brought up here in Title 15, but after our review, we determined that really the place for the language is in Title 6, 401, and we had delivered that language. It was part of a much larger packet of agency language.
Yeah, I don't have that big explanation. I just have clarified that zoning.
245?
Yeah,
915, I mean?
yeah, 915.
You need more clarification with language?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll recess for 5 minutes.
Do you need yours?
We're recessing for 5
Yeah,
minutes.
that isn't on my sheet. That isn't on my sheet like that.
So this is when the DOT had raised it here,
Yeah,
even
but I'm
though.
saying on my.
Right, they had raised it
On my
here, but
sheet.
it was,
That's true,
you
too.
know, in reviewing, we
That's
found
all
a
I
better
have.
spot for the issue.
Yeah,
It's almost like a contract. It's a contract. If you got, right.
yeah.
Here, do you need this?
Well, it says here, question DOT. Yeah, what do you got?
I want you to make sure.
You might want to choose your path.
These are exempt unless we have more specific provisions in the code. So, for example, we don't have anything on telephone poles. So those are out. But we do have things about what we just talked about, telecommunications. So if you don't, so those
Where
are
they
sort of
told you.
general things would be out, but if you have more specific provisions of these items, you'd be regulated.
We don't want to, you say we would regulate, we would be regulating the ones like the telephone pole up above.
Right.
If you, I mean, in other words.
And who was, yeah, the driver's the one who's supposed to secure the safety of his passengers.
Signs on it, they wouldn't apply
Trial went to the jury.
to your right of way because we just basically accepted it. But if you say, oh, well, things in the right of way, like boxes or whatever.
And so who was the last one to shut
Although we
the door?
don't have more specifics yet.
Who's the one?
I always forget she was started off as a councilman.
Specifics, more specific.
Jury's deliberating.
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
saw it. Trial went to the jury.
One term, she was one term,
If you don't have them, they're exempt.
1.5.
Unless you talk about it specifically in the zoning,
Okay.
these items are all going to be exempt from being regulated by.
Who? I heard he was very good in his own defense. I mean, they were saying, all the
I'm just hanging out with the language.
people there were saying he's very likable and.
Come sit. Well, I'm gonna say something.
So it sounds like the attorney was smart to put him up there.
I'm gonna go now while we have the thing. I have to speak at Patterson for the 15th, so I'm gonna
Good luck, stay dry.
yeah, I'm gonna speak at Patterson, the school that every time I go somewhere, I tell them to close that school. I don't know that principal to let me in the door.
Yeah, that just went to the jury.
You can
So
go.
it wasn't,
Go to Patterson.
Are we okay with the
Let's see,
president
like-
submitting 19? Has he agreed to that?
was done on purpose, you said.
They have him as a. Somebody.
The way it went,
Yeah.
One of your colleagues told me.
it's the president thing.
Said we can ask him, but he said he would prefer that the president and they just accept them all at
Great,
once as.
I blow my nose.
Because they have them, yeah. Okay, yeah, so I think he would do. Good. Great, thank you. Oh, my goodness, hi. I guess we have to go.
Complicated than the other two. I think this guy is.
Good.
All bets are off with the other guy. This guy should.
But the driver is ultimately responsible. He was the senior person.
Laurie? Okay, I'm gonna ask you about this if you come over here. If you don't mind sitting next to me. If you don't mind sitting next to me. This is subtitle 4, exempt essential services, is that right?
Correct.
And we're deleting from 6-401, exempt utility and government uses. We're deleting all that. Is that what you're saying?
Delete line 19 to 30 and
Okay.
replace with the text that you have just received from Ms. Coates. And that is, again, the text you've received is a multi-page document, but it is in title order, and it is under Title 6, page 116,
So this is going into 116,
replacing the others.
Okay.
And this clarifies, and the law may want to comment further, but essentially it clarifies the exemption of government, essential government services.
So does the law department, you have anything to add to this?
I would just call the committee's attention to the fact that this code, it says these provisions are exempt unless we have more, unless the language is more specifically expressed somewhere in the code. So essentially, we are exempting these things unless somewhere else in the code we've got specific language that regulates them.
Okay. Councilman Henry?
I'm just curious as to what the status of light poles are in this situation, in that we've specifically excluded a bunch of other things that I think of in that class, and due to the recent conversations I've had about demolition of city-owned property, I've had a wider appreciation for things that the city owns. And so do we need to specify light poles?
No, because those are going to be on the right-of-way, so this exempts things on the right-of-way. And of course, what we have, things like telecommunication facilities on light poles are going to be regulated elsewhere, and they're also partially regulated here. by the provisions that you guys adopted just
Light
an
poles
hour
are in the
ago.
right of way?
Light poles are in your right of way,
Then
right?
where aren't parking meters in my right of way?
Right. So what we can do essentially, as I said, unless we have specific provisions about parking meters in the code, then they're going to be exempt from zoning. But this allows you to have those provisions. But if we don't have anything that relates specifically to the issues the things that are listed here, then they're going to be exempt from the zoning code. They may be regulated elsewhere in the code, but the zoning code is going to be out unless you put specific provisions in.
Sorry. Do I have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Middleton, second by Councilman Reisinger. Reisinger votes yes. Councilman Kraft is absent. He had to go to a community meeting. Branch? Yes. Branch is yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. So we have 5 yes with 2 absent. And 9115 moves.
Why?
Let me say that T521 and T869 is technical, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now, the next one would be, T798, which is page 256. Can you give me a line on that?
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute.
T798.
What number is
Page 2, T798, page 246 in your text, and I need a line.
God, what's this? Oh, my phone.
Okay, is while she's looking for that, the committee is updated, regards to the technical amendments and the withdrawal. Now we're in T798. We have that?
Yeah.
Somebody call you a council person. Laurie?
Hold on. 246 line. 246, what line?
She's trying to find that line.
Oh, sorry.
The roof line will make consistent.
Apologize, I was focused on the other ones.
One through 15. Here?
New definitions of roof line of consistent with building height.
Do you have a question, Bill?
I thought I understood what she was trying to get, but then
Where is?
Let me ask to defer this, because I am not,
defer.
Okay,
language.
moved, do I have a second by Councilwoman Middleton?
Is that technically, is that defer for clarity?
All those in favor to defer, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. T798 is deferred. Okay. We are now on T522, which is page 247. Councilwoman Clark, line 34.
Wait a minute. I gotta get the right.
This is
34. Oh, yes.
522.
Basically, I have an amendment that changes 100, wait a minute. Changes 120% to 110% of density. So, and I add language. In lieu of any compensation to the owner for a lot contributed for public benefit, that's my amendment.
Okay, so.
Then the permitted density of the remaining private development lot, as computed under this section, may not exceed 110% of the density that otherwise be allowed for that lot. I'm going 110 instead of 120.
Okay, so you move?
I move that.
Okay, moved by Councilwoman Clark. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Henry. Reisinger votes yes. Councilman Kraft is
Well-
absent. Councilman Branch?
110.
Councilman Branch is yes. Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark is yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Councilman Henry is yes. Councilwoman Middleton? Yes. Councilwoman Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. So we have 5 yes with 2 absent. 522, motion moved.
Good.
We're now on, Councilwoman Clark.
Yep.
T 523, page 247, line 6 through 8, measurement of density.
Yes.
You're deleting? What?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it, 523?
This is all right. So it's the calculation. On a lot with 3 or more dwelling units, a fraction of the total area that is, it says 50% or more of the required lot area factor counts as an additional permitted dwelling unit. I would move the 50% to 75%, if granted 25, all right. So I would say on a lot with 3 or more dwelling units, a fraction of the total area that is 75% of the total lot area counts as an additional dwelling unit if granted 25% variance approval by the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. In other words, if they can get the 25% max that the board can allow added to the 75%, then that's fair to neighborhoods and instead of 50%. So if you follow me, I'd like to move that motion.
A question on the motion, Councilman Henry?
I was just going to make a comment that, because as the council is getting ready to revisit the inclusionary housing program we have, and one of the things that's been an issue now for years is the fact that density bonuses in Baltimore City don't have the same benefit to developers that they do in other subdivisions, because our zoning allows for such density to begin with. And this would be an example of a way in which we could start to and very slowly scale that back, so that giving developers a bonus in density so that they can do more inclusionary units could actually be of financial benefit to them. So I'm just throwing that out there as another.
Are you second it?
I second the motion.
Okay. Moved by Councilwoman Clark, second by Henry. Reisinger votes yes. Kraft is absent. Branch? Branch is yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry's yes. Middleton?
Yes.
Middleton
Glad
is
I came
yes.
today.
Mosby is absent. We have 5 yes with 2 absent. 523 is moved. We're now on Planning Commission 797 on page 247. Again, can you give me a line?
This would be in the title, line 19, and I think it repeats in the body of the text there. Essentially, this section gives a benefit for dedication of open space, for it says major highway and open space, and they get the density, and the commission recommended adding transit to that as well, as a matter of policy, so that if a owner gets dedicates land for transit, they get that same benefit as they would.
I'll move that.
Moved by Councilman Henry. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Reisinger votes yes. Reisinger seconds.
This is.
Reisinger votes yes. Kraft is
adding-
absent. Branch? Branch is yes.
Transit to the list of
Councilwoman
things
Clark?
that you get this benefit for.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton?
Yes.
Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. We have 5 yes with 2 absent. 797 moves. We are now on this is planning,
Talk about all three.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We have T 799, T 800, and T 802, and they're all on page 248. And I'm gonna turn it over to planning in regards to, these amendments.
They're all about Mount
Laurie?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. There are three amendments here that reflect a rather unique situation in Mount Vernon in that they have a urban renewal plan that refers to a map, and that map would become part of the zoning code. They also, in the urban renewal plan, about 3 years ago, when, after this bill was introduced, negotiated some special language regarding how height is defined in Mount Vernon. Again, it is rather unusual, but all three of these amendments are intended to make this code consistent with that language, which was worked on in Mount Vernon. So one is the definition of height to make it match the urban renewal plan.
Yeah, I would like to.
And
All three.
the second is the prohibition on new surface parking lots in Mount Vernon that is currently in the zoning code and their urban renewal plan. And the third is to reflect the density for new construction, again, consistent with their urban renewal plan.
Okay,
All three.
okay, you mind giving a reason for the referral?
I would like a chance to talk with the council member who represents this area. You
So-
will recall how controversial the urban renewal plan was several years ago about these issues in this neighborhood.
This was done under Councilman Cole, so.
Okay, so we have,
And God bless him,
yep.
really. But I think that we should.
Okay, so you're, so
Touch base so that we are understanding from the community's point of view.
is this just Councilman Costello, is Councilman Stokes, or any other?
It probably
Borders.
touches Stokes as well.
Okay, so we want to get some information, that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so Councilwoman Clark, you defer 799, 800, and 802. Do we have a second? Second by Councilwoman Middleton. All those who favor to defer, say aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Those three amendments will be deferred. We are now, let me see. Yeah, I got that. Okay, so the next one is T 632, page 250. Councilwoman Clark. Where's that at? I mean, no, just more 632. Yeah, where's that at? Is this it? You got it? So it's just T 520. This is what, T 632? Where's that at?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I had to catch up with myself,
Exterior lighting.
Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that basically takes the language about exterior lighting on page 250,
39.
lines 1 to 9. Do I have that right?
At page 251, lines
Yeah,
1
wait a
through
minute.
2.
Wait a minute, excuse me. I've got the wrong lines listed here, but light poles. Where
38
am
and
I?
39.
Excuse me. Light poles for outdoor residential. Sorry. It's 250. It's line 38 and 39, and it extends to page 251 to the end of that sentence. So I'm changing it basically to say that private outdoor recreational facilities, when doing outside lighting, they need to get Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals, no matter how high that lighting is. So basically, I'm making the amendment that light poles for outdoor rec facilities, and they're private, may not exceed 60 feet in height. Exterior lighting for outdoor recreations, I'm adding, regardless of height, is subject to design review, adding, and conditional use approval by the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals. I then take out the last sentence of the text where it says light poles for recreational facilities that exceed 60 feet are conditional uses. I do that because it's not just how high they are, it's which way they're shining on their surrounding communities. Even if they're not 60 feet high, they can be intrusive. So I wanted to have all private recreation facility lighting, outdoor lighting, subject to, they're already going to be design reviewed, and I want them also to be subject to zoning board conditional use approval, the way the 60 feet high ones are.
Okay.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, before we second, Ms. Kuntz representing President Jack Young, you have?
My request to the councilwoman would be to consider some height for the BMZA, even if it's 60 is too high, if there could be some level of height, because otherwise your amendment would require something as simple as like a light on a door at like a 6-foot level.
And that problem, and I'm happy to oblige. Why don't I say, so I'm thinking of poles with lights around perimeters.
I think I understand and agree with the kinds of light that you're heading towards. It was just being
height.
narrow in what has to go to the BMCA.
The code as drafted does not make the distinction between a private recreational facility and a public one. So
It does here. Wait a minute, I know that.
I think there could be some confusion here. What the Parks Department would have to do versus a private.
Let's go up on page 250 to line 12, at the top of this section called exterior lighting. It says, A, the following exterior lighting requirements apply to lighting on private property.
Okay.
So that
Now,
takes care of
that's
that.
why I keep saying that,
Okay,
because,
so-
Okay, I apologize.
Can you answer the question?
35,
Okay.
how's that?
That's the size of a row house. I mean,
So how you want to do it? Just keep my language but use 35? Or we could go back and do it this way. Light poles for outdoor may not exceed 30, oh, no, that, we're not saying that. Exterior lighting, regardless, up to 35 feet.
I think the thing is, staff just brought it to my attention, they're correct. This is already going to be conditional use, so they can determine it.
No, it's not if it's under 60.
She's changing the 60 to 35.
Okay, all right.
Wait, if you just want to change 60 to 35, I could live with that simple amendment.
Okay, we can live with that.
So the simple amendment becomes 60 becomes, in the original text, 60 becomes 35,
Okay,
that's easy.
okay?
all right, so you made a motion? Who seconds
So
it?
it's 35
Councilwoman
on mine.
Middleton? Reisinger votes yes. Kraft is absent.
So that's
Branch?
mine's 38 and
Branch is yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent, so we have 5 yes with 2 absent. 632 moves with the change of the height. 632. The other one's tables. We are now on T529, page, Mary, Councilwoman Clark. Huh?
We have 1 second, I wanted to make sure I was.
Yeah, okay.
Withdrawn, I have a note withdrawn.
It's T5, not this. She don't have it there. Okay. Okay, Councilwoman Clark, we're on T529, which is page 252, line 7 through 10, but we have a notation here, I have question marks, that it was withdrawn February the 3rd at a work session. Is that true, or do you?
Okay, I'm sorry, say it again. 529?
Yes, page 252, line 7 through 10, 15-508. And it's just, what I have here on the notation is that withdrawn February the 2nd at a work session.
Oh, wow.
Are you still, this wasn't on your withdrawal list, but I'm just bringing that to your attention. I'm bringing that to your attention if you still want to withdraw to go forward. Okay, all right, I just want to bring it up to you, so go ahead.
Basically, this is about mechanical equipment, page
I got
252, lines 2 to 19. Okay. I would, basically what I'm doing is I'm adding 2 districts to what's covered. And here's what's covered. If ground-based mechanical equipment is located in a non-residential district adjoining a residential, I'm adding office residential, I'm adding or industrial mixed-use district, the equipment must be completely screened if visible from the public right-of-way, excluding alleys, or from the adjoining residential, office residential, or industrial mixed-use district. ORs and IMUs are heavily residential and should be included in this definition of screening, the need for screening. I'd like to make that motion. Would you second this motion? I'm adding industrial mixed use and office residential to the residential restriction that says, if you got mechanical equipment that you're building on your property, it's gotta be screened from
T5,
residential,
okay.
OR, and IMU.
All right, do I have a second? Second by Councilwoman
Thank you.
Middleton. Councilman Rice Singer votes yes. Councilman Kraft is absent. Councilman Branch? Yes. Councilman Branch, yes. Councilwoman Clark? Councilwoman Clark?
Oh, yes, yes.
Councilman Henry?
Yes.
Councilman Henry is yes. Councilwoman Middleton? Yes. Councilwoman Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. We have 29 moves. We are now on T 787, which is planning, page 252. You have a line number on that?
This would be under line 20, but I think I'm going to ask to defer and give you language to put it in Title 14. The commission voted to create a more robust temporary outdoor sales use to reflect the pop-ups, and given the conversations I heard from the councilman earlier, That really should be in 14, and so I will defer for that.
Okay.
The next one is to, and I would put it really frankly under line 21A, right up at the top, and that is to expressly prohibit outdoor sales of tires, mattresses, and appliances.
Yes.
Okay, well, before we go on that, I gotta have a motion to defer T 787.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Henry, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Clark. All those in favor say
I
aye.
don't know.
Those opposed say nay, the ayes have it. 787 is deferred. Now we are on T 803. Laurie?
Again, T803 is in the section that speaks to the standards for outdoor sales. This is for retail goods establishments. This is not the section regarding yard sales at home. This is in the commercial areas, and the commission voted to expressly prohibit outdoor display of tires, mattresses, and appliances.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Wait, what number is this? It's 787? Where are we?
No, it's T803, and it would insert page 252, line 21.
Mr. Chair, we deferred T 803.
No, we deferred 787.
787 was deferred, we voted on that. Right now, we are on T 803,
Where
page
is it?
252, and that is line,
Where is T803? 280.
Sure. It could be line 21 or after line 24.
On
Maybe
page
after line 24 is
252.
clearer. To be the second standard, it would be the first prohibition.
Wait, okay. All right, so we're on 5-509.
Yes.
Outdoor sales and display.
Right.
This is where the retail goods establishments can do everything except have a barbecue on their next door neighbor's porch, basically. But what are you doing, what's the amendment?
The amendment is to expressly prohibit outdoor display of tires, mattresses, and appliances.
I do too. I
Okay.
like that.
all right, do I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman, who?
Clark. She made me do it.
And then second by Henry. Reisinger votes yes.
Mattresses.
Kraft is absent. Branch? Yes. Branch, yes. Clark?
Yes.
Clark is yes. Henry?
Yes.
Henry is yes. Middleton? Yes. Middleton is yes. Mosby is absent. The vote is 5 with 2 absent. 803 moves.
It's what? I know. Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment that was submitted, but it didn't get a number, so I call it T-DDD. And it is right in this section of, it's on my sheet, it's right in this section of the code that we just added to. And it would amend to clarify after line 20. So it doesn't replace anything, it clarifies that, and the language is as follows. This is all new language. All outdoor sales and display as described in subsection 15-509 are permitted accessory uses in retail goods establishments in which a retail goods establishment is itself a permitted use. Otherwise, the accessory use requires zoning board approval. In other words, there's a lot of things going on here in this outdoor stuff for retail establishments that I really don't like at all. I think they're vague, and what I've really done in my amendments is raise a lot of questions about how do you enforce this. But anyway, I have that, and then the next paragraph, any lawfully existing retail goods establishment, and I add, which is a permitted principal use in its zoning district, is permitted to display and sell its merchandise outdoors under the following conditions, and then there are these conditions. The problem is, if I may say so, what is a required yard in which sales and displays are prohibited? How does the city distinguish between sales display permitted and storage prohibited? How do you know which is which? So, I mean, this is not enforceable as written. It's, how do you determine something's temporarily for sale and not permanently? What is temporary? What's permanent? How large should the parking area be to qualify for the 10% option? What triggers review and approval of this required screening? I mean, this is a lot of vagaries looking for a definition which doesn't exist and cannot. So, I mean, I think this whole section, 15-509, needs a scrubbing if they would like to actually enforce it, or is it just to make us feel good that, isn't it great, everything's gonna be so open? I'd like to move, the heck with it, forget my amendments, I'd like to move to just send it back for language and a rewrite that is enforceable.
There were a number of items brought up there. I'm not sure that I can answer all of them. If the committee desires, we could sit with the zoning administrator who would have to enforce these and ask for a specific review. As far as the temporary or the required yard is a pretty straightforward item. If there's a front yard requirement in a certain zone, that is the required yard, or a side yard, or that sort of thing. I'm not sure how to answer the rest of the questions.
My question, Councilwoman, if I'm correct, it's getting late, I think we're all going a little mashed
all right.
potatoes. But let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is T-DD, this is your
Yeah, DDD.
amendment.
Yeah, that
And you
is
wanna
my
send it-
amendment.
We haven't voted, so we can't defer
All right,
something
well,
that ain't-
okay, let's just see whether we can at least, what I'm trying to do is at least narrow it down so that this array of non-enforceables does not spread to other uses, but just stays with retail goods establishments. So I'm trying to say, this is for retail goods establishments, nobody else. Everybody else, you gotta,
I would suggest simply putting it on line 20, outdoor sales and displays dash retail goods establishments. That might be clear.
you know what?
Yeah,
That'll be fine. I'll
Councilman-
amend my
You withdraw your
motion
amendment.
to just do that.
Okay.
At least it won't spread like some
Okay,
fungus.
no, I get it. Councilman Henry, then
Actually,
Councilwoman
Councilwoman Middleton, then me.
Middleton, then Henry.
Well, I like your idea of sending this whole 15.509 for a rewrite, because remember, this hasn't been done in 40 years, and I look at,
So what do we gotta do?
when I go down to 15.509 and I look at F with the motor vehicle dealerships and all those things, and I look at places like Reisterstown Road in my district and Park Heights Avenue, you know, you really need to look at this whole section. And if you said to take it back and let the BMZA review it, maybe that's what they really need to do.
Yeah.
509?
Yeah.
And if the
This whole
council,
section.
if the councilwoman is willing to
Here all the way down.
Yeah. And, let's
either
do my
withdraw
amendment
all
with
these
title
for
change.
the
Wasn't it? I'll make a
suggestion
motion
for
to
the
send it back to
review for the BMZA, I
Okay,
would,
so we're gonna do.
I think it would be with the zoning administrator. We would want to review it.
I had said
Since
if you
they're
would,
responsible for
if you want
enforcement.
to, you have the votes to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
First of all, we have a motion on the floor that's perfectly acceptable and fits in with the second back.
For the
Well,
zoning.
we have to, you have to move your amendment if you're gonna send it, right?
All right, first of all, there's a motion on
Right.
the floor that's not contradictory, which says dash, title, 15509,
we got that. I just want to make sure that once if you make the motion, it passes her amendment, then she's got to move to defer. Okay, go ahead. You're moving it.
I'm moving that amendment.
Second by Councilman Henry. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. On the amendment, now we have to have a motion to defer your amendment. That section, to defer that section, 509.
Yeah.
I would like to move to
Defer section.
rest of section 15
509.
in its entirety, send it back for a,
Zoning administrator
Review.
review.
for
Yes.
a zoning administrator and council members and planning to review. And if you're gonna have this, make it enforceable, get language in there that
Right.
we can actually use.
Okay, all right. So we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Middleton. Reisinger votes yes. This should put deferral. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. It's deferred. I think that we are going to recess, right? We're going to recess because I think, the rest of Title 15. Hold on for 1 second.
Just a little bit left on 15.
I have an idea that I was talking to Sharon.
Our next voting session on Bill 12-0152, TransForm Baltimore zoning, will be January the 4th at 5 p.m. in the City Council chambers. I want to thank everyone for attending today's voting session. Thank you.